NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell held his annual pre-Super Bowl press conference today, but instead of focusing on the big game, Goodell was confronted with questions over the bombshell lawsuit filed by former Miami Dolphins head coach Brian Flores. It's only been 1 week since that lawsuit, but a glaring spotlight on the league's lack of minority head coaches.
Matt King has more on what Goodell had to say about the NFL's hiring practices.
We're not doing a good enough job here. We need to find better solutions and better outcomes.
NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell accepted part of the blame for the NFL's failure to hire more people of color as head coaches and in other leadership positions around the league.
Yes, I do bear that responsibility.
In his annual State of the NFL news conference Wednesday, and first time answering questions from reporters since fired Dolphins head coach Brian Flores sued the league, claiming discrimination in its hiring practices last week.
We want to see black head coaches in the NFL.
And yet just 5 of the league's 32 teams now employ minority head coaches. Nearly half of the teams in the league have never had a black head coach, and there's never been a black majority team owner in a league where 3/4 of players identify as non-white.
Roger Goodell does not have any unilateral power to make the 32 owners hire diverse candidates.
San Jose State public relations and sport communication professor and former football operations employee for the now Washington Commanders, Dr. Sean Fletcher reminds us Roger Goodell works for the NFL's 32 owners, and Fletcher argues they ought to have been the ones answering Wednesday for the league's lack of leadership diversity.
When there is diversity in leadership and decision-making, we tend to see diversity across the organization. And when that is not the case, we do not see it.
We won't tolerate racism. We won't tolerate discrimination.
Goodell offered no specific changes, instead promising only that the league would reevaluate everything. Fletcher hoped the Flores suit might lead the league to welcome its first black team owner, and if not, that we'd at least start to see more transparency and quantifiable justification in the hiring of team leadership.
When there is no focus on anything specifically dealing with equity issues and hiring, there is a unilateral monolithic decision that can be made to not do so. And that's what continues to happen across these 32 franchises.